Greetings, Advocate, and welcome to our next training webinar. This one is on follow-up. My name is Michele Guadalupe, and I am joined by Staci Penner, who's one of our Platinum Ambassadors. Staci, can you tell us a little bit about your involvement with advocacy?
Hi, I have been an ambassador for 7 years and a Platinum Ambassador for 6 years. I've been the co-state chair for Kansas for the last 3 years. And I love doing anything with Advocacy for the Arthritis Foundation to raise awareness for arthritis.
Thank you, Staci. And on today's webinar, we're going to go through the 5 W's of following up after meetings on the Hill. Let's go with the first W, the who. Who do you follow up with? This has to do with who you met with while you were on the Hill. This can be the congressman, or it could be the chief of staff or legislative liaison. The member staff meet with constituents all day, every day during session. They have the ear of the congressman, and they will relay information from your meetings to their boss. So even if you didn't have a chance to meet with a congressman, that's okay. We recommend that you also send them a quick note after the meeting, and it's really important to start forming that relationship with the legislative assistant that you met with. Now we're going to go on to the second W, what? So you've had your meeting, wonderful. Your work has just begun. Now it's time for that extremely important next step, follow-up. Advocates will follow up in many different ways. One way would be to send a quick handwritten note, but please note that due to security measures on Capitol Hill, this can take a while to get to the congressman. We really recommend that while you are at your meeting, you get contact information from the staffer. This is typically their business card. So prior to leaving the meeting, make sure that you get that business card from the staffer, and then that you send them an email. And in this email, please make sure to include the topic of discussion and an encouragement for their office to take action. And please take note if there were any times during that initial meeting that you had, if they seemed very interested, you need to make sure to send that over to them. And again, here's an example on the screen on what you can say. Dear name, thank you so much for the brief meeting regarding a particular issue. It was great to have the opportunity to share my story with you, and please encourage the congressman to, and then include what action you want them to take. When. Now you know what to send them, but you may wonder when you should send the note. Since offices meet with constituents all day, every day, it is recommended that you send the follow-up within a week of your meeting. In other words, the sooner, the better. That way, the issue is still top of mind, and they are more likely to remember you and your story. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Staci, and she's going to talk about the rest of our W's.
The next W is where. Where do you send your follow-up? If you got those business cards from the legislative assistant that you met with, or even your congressman, you'll have all the contact information that you need. If you lost that business card or didn't happen to get one from them, you can find the information through the Action Center at www.arthritis.org/advocate/Action Center. The last W is why. Why is follow-up important? Follow-up is so important. If you don't follow up, you might as well have not gone. You have to reconnect with the offices that you visited with. They are so busy, they see many, many people every day and hear many stories. We want them to remember our story and why we were there to talk about arthritis. It also shows that we appreciate the time that they took out of their busy schedules to come and sit with us and hear our story and be willing to act and follow up with us. We also want to always keep reminding them of why we were there and why it is important to us as their constituents to share our stories. I found through the years, I always try to share a specific example from my life or my daughter's life with arthritis. And then every time I communicate with those members via email, I always refer back to that special piece of information so that they can remember my story every time I talk to them. And here is an example of right after our meeting with our Senator Roberts' legislative staff member, Emily, I ran out into the hall and tweeted our picture that we took and thanked them for our meeting. This is very important. And since this meeting, every time I have tried to contact Emily and the office for Senator Roberts, she always replies back and talks about specific things we talked about. So I know she remembers me.
Thank you so much, Staci, and thanks to everyone who has listened to this webinar. We hope that you learned about the 5 W's of follow-up and heard from a current ambassador on reasons why that follow-up is so important. Again, like she had mentioned, if you don't do the follow-up, it's like you never went to the meeting. So with that, we're going to close today's training session. Thank you very much.